Okay guys, in this tutorial we're gonna use C programming language to swap two numbers but without temporary variable. So we will just use old-fashioned addition and subtraction to swap those numbers. So let's do that. For simplicity reasons we will not take end user input, we will hard code numbers for simplicity reasons. So integer number 1 will be, let's say, 10, and integer blah, integer number 2 will be, let's say, 30. Okay, so that's starting point. Let's print f initial state. Initial state, little bit of placeholder d, and also for another number d, a little bit of new line and concatenation with number 1 and concatenation with number 2. Right, simple stuff up till now. Okay, so what is the algo here? Well, I'm gonna type it and then we will explain line by line what means. Number 1 is a number 1. Don't worry, we're gonna explain everything as I said. Minus number 2. Okay, next one, number 2 is number 1 plus number 2. Okay, and final one, number 1 is number 2 minus number 1. And now we will explain. Before we do that, let's just print final state, because this thing will work. Okay, so final state, and let's test it and then we will explain. Okay, so see, there you go. Number 1, 10, 10, number 2, 30, 30. That's the initial state. Final state is the reversed order of numbers. Now, what about this algo? Well, let's print intermediary states. Because you need to know what is happening in the middle. Okay, so printf number 1. It's useful to print intermediary states. That will be d, next line, and number 1. And also same stuff for number 2. Okay, and same stuff again for number 1. We don't need to change anything here. Basically that's pretty much it. But we do have intermediary states, so let's see what's happening. Oops, printf. Sorry about that, I don't know how to type these days. Either I'm too fast or too stupid. Something is happening. There you go. So what's happening? Minus 20, 10 and 30. And now we will get those things on a piece of paper, like manually. Well, here in the screen. Let's see what's happening. Okay, so this is situation with number 1. I'm gonna put it into comment section here. So number 1 by this formula is number 1 original, which is 10, minus number 2, which is 30. Now, result of this is minus 20. Okay, so we know this from a primary school, nothing special here. You know this, of course. Minus 20. So that's the situation with number 1. We are not final here with number 1. This is just one of the steps, the first step. But make a note, minus 20. Now, number 2, what is happening with that fella? So let's type that. Number 2 equals number 1, but this number 1, not anymore initial state, this number 1, this is real now, which is what it is, minus 20, okay, plus number 2. And number 2 is 30. Okay, so that's original stuff. And now value of number 2 will become 10. And guys, this is a final value for number 2. Number 2 is swapped now. So this is final one. Why? Because originally number 1 was 10 and now number 2 is 10. So we are done here. We are done here. Well, I don't want to type that, it's stupid. But this is the final stuff. Well, now we are into position to set final thing for number 1. So let's do that. Where is my mouse? Just a second. Okay. Now number 1 will be number 2, which now is this 10, which is final, minus by formula, minus, I'm not inventing this, minus number 1 previous version. Okay, but number 1 is minus 20. So we do have minus 20. Okay, so in reality, this is plus 10 plus 20. Minus brings you to plus. So 10 plus 20 is 30, and this is final. So we have swapped our numbers here, because originally number 1 was 10 and now that's 2, and originally number 2 was 30 and now number 1 is a 30, so job is done. Okay, let's compare that with steps, what is happening when we were typing those results. So initial state 1030, okay, but number 1 is minus 20, okay, what we got exactly minus 20. Then number 2 is a 10, do we get that? Yes, is a 10. And number 1 is a 30, do we get that? Is a 30. Yes, so we are correct. Now you're gonna say, well dude, how the hell I'm gonna memorize this? Well, I don't know, honestly. Well, you can write it on a piece of paper, you can memorize it, you can force yourself to understand it, or you can just let it go. But maybe the smartest idea is just to have this approach like in your mental reserve. So if you ever need this kind of algo, then you can just go to internet and type how to swap numbers without usage of temporary variable. In this case, we have done that with subtraction and addition. But honestly, I don't know how to explain how it is easy to memorize this, because some people do have mathematical brains and the rest of us don't. So if I force myself, this will be approach. Like visually, on the left side from equality symbol, I have 1, 2, 1. Okay, that's one part of the story. Now right from the equal symbol, I have minus plus in minus. 1 minus 2 plus 1 minus again. So where you see 1, it's minus, where you see 2 is a plus in the middle. So that's one part of the story. Another part is how to memorize order of these guys. You can say these things in the middle are growing, like 1, 1, 2, and these things are going into opposite direction, like vertically, 2 to 1. And you have 1 and 1 connected like vertically together, 2 is a final, and same stuff on the right side but with opposite numbers, 2 to 1. So maybe that's one of the way how you can think. Honestly, I don't know how to explain this that you can memorize this in easier way. But even if you ever run into this problem, maybe it is just good stuff to experiment where minus and plus goes, because honestly you don't have too many options here. The starting point should be like 1 to 1 on the left side from equality symbol. And then you can experiment a little bit how to get there. Now some people get this on the first sight and some people are just unable to understand and memorize this. Well, as I said, some of you guys are very good mathematical stuff and remembering stuff, and the rest of us, well, we are just, you know, the normal people. I don't know. But yeah, you can experiment, you know, you can put this on a piece of paper, memorize this into, I don't know, book, in a mobile phone, or even in your calculator. If you are in school, you know, these days you have calculators with options to enter formula. I don't know, but this works, okay. And now you can try experimenting with replacing these initial values, like this one will be 30 and this down will be less, like 10. You can play around. So in this case you have just minus minus here, and then you get plus 30 at the end of the day. So yeah, but the primary thing is that you know that this thing is easy when you have it like here, when somehow you just copy paste formula from internet or from piece of paper. I don't know. You should explain down there in the comments how you think about this, honestly, how you approach memorization of these values, or even understanding, like maybe you can develop some algo in your brain that will help you to spit out these algos like in a split of a second. I don't know. I'm stupid. So thank you for watching. Share this channel with other people. Support me, support them, and see you next one. Ciao, ciao.